I knew that was bad on the color.
Hello, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. And I'm here with a special guest star who's in town for executive meetings.
Hello, I am Tamara Haasen, president of I.O.
And today is Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. So a lot of cool things have been happening recently. We are right in the thick of things with moving Cardano along. SIP 1694 is really starting to shape up. There's a lot of community workshops that are getting started. We just had our first community Zoom call. I think more than 50, 60 people showed up for that, in addition to the original people who were in the workshop that we had here in Colorado. A lot of community workshops are going to be held in person across the world throughout the coming months. And then in July in Edinburgh, we'll have the other side of the bookshelf, the other bookend, which will be the finalizing workshop to get the remaining parameters in. And a lot of great development work as well. Version 8 of the node is under construction. There's about 8 months of backlog that's Sergey and Vitaly, and others have been gradually pulling their way through, and with any luck, that should be pushed to pre-prod soon. So we're real excited about that because that's going to be the foundation upon which 1694 would get implemented for testing, so that people can actually see what it means to be a DREP, and similar to the experience we had with the incentivized testnet. So I'm real excited about that. We're starting to put some Tiger teams together to look at some very specific issues. That's going to be led by the newest VP of delivery here, Billy, who we love and admire. He's from Kentucky, good kid, and real smart. And he's got a great team with him. And what we're going to do is take a look at some areas that people have been complaining about for quite some time, whether it be DB Sync or the node-to-node interface, or perhaps accelerating certain things like tiered pricing, for example, and basically we're just triaging and going down. So we're real excited to see this new approach, and we're pretty happy about it. A lot of other cool, interesting things. Hydra finally reached mainnet, and people have been playing around with it. We launched Hydra on mainnet. Very first thing that you guys drew with Hydra on mainnet was a penis. Thank you very much. That was exciting. Nothing like 15 months of hardcore engineering work to get a dick drawn in pixel by pixel. By the way, every pixel was a transaction. So that is a high transaction penis.
Yeah.
We learned a lot about that. Now, as you know, AMAs aren't just about Cardano. They're about my life and the things that I'm interested in. And when I have special guest stars, it's about their life and the things that they're interested in. So nothing is off limits. This is the coolest device I think I've ever purchased. This right here is a Roxiva unit. They are not cheap. They're about $5,000. It's because it's a medical device. It's not a little play device. And it's actually for audio and visual entrainment. So Tam and I were just using it, and we've been testing it for the past week. So how would you describe it?
It depends on what setting it's on. So it's supposed to simulate, that has a setting for DMT, which I've never done. So it can simulate like a DMT trip, an LSD trip. It kind of feels like a kaleidoscope on your face, and it kind of puts you in another world. You have headphones on when you're doing it, and it puts you in another world. You see like tracers, you see things, you just see patterns, many, many patterns. So this one we just did was for anxiety. It has like, how many settings does it have? Maybe like
there's probably 200 programs on it.
Is there 200? Okay. So it just kind of puts you in a new state of mind, sort of like meditation, but with light therapy and patterns. And it kind of retoggles your mind and the chemicals in your mind and the neurons in your mind. So we're not sure how safe it is yet. So we're only doing 6 minutes. Right? Everybody's just doing 6 minutes right now. We did it on our legal team this week as well. They really loved it. And
so this is powerful medicine requires powerful respect. So this is a powerful device. You have to be careful with it. But audio and visual entrainment have been studied in cognitive neuroscience for a very long time. And there's lots of really cool things you can do. So basically the device is held about yay far from the face. You close your eyes, sit back, you relax, you put some headphones on, and it flashes. And if people are observing you, it looks like it's just flashing white light, but you're seeing patterns and geometry and colors, and you go on a journey. So there's kind of two different directions that this device is intended for. One is more in the anti-anxiety, focus, and performance enhancement realm. So we term that the meditative area. And the other is actually for therapy and for entertainment. So it can knock you, if you use it long enough, right settings, into a kind of a pseudo psychedelic state, similar to what a psilocybin trip would be, or a DMT trip would be. But the difference between chemicals in this device is actually it has an on and off switch. So after you finish the routine, you come back, and so far it seems to be pretty instant. Now, that said, it's one of those things where you just have to study it. So, what if you have epilepsy? What if you have neurological problems? What if you have schizophrenia? Yeah. This is where we're not exactly sure. So I've sent this research thread up to my clinic in Wyoming, and we're going to spend some time playing around with it. And throughout the coming months, we'll learn more about it. But what is really interesting is that I do believe that it has a profound impact on your brainwaves. And so one of the first things we're going to do when we start playing around with this is we're going to take a look at EEG. And we're going to actually see do an EEG pre and during and post, and measure it for several people. And then we'll try to get a sense of what's happening with your brainwaves. Another thing that we're probably going to do is look at cognitive scoring and things that are intended to enhance. We can do a pre and post with the unit and see what effects it has on people. So very exciting, but I wouldn't recommend you use it at the moment because we haven't really dug deep into the safety protocols and gotten a full understanding of how it works under the hood. But there's a lot of great science. Visual and audio entrainment's been around, as I've mentioned, for quite some time. It's really been a secret hidden gem. And the Roxiva is the first consumer device, pseudo-consumer device, because it's at the $5,000 price point that I've seen. So, it's just an area of interest that we have. And the power of having a clinic is that you have all these physicians and scientists floating around, and it makes it actually quite straightforward and easy for us to take these devices and actually test them. Over time, we'll be able to actually test them at a very significant level. Like, for example, with a SPECT scan and look at blood flow through the brain with an MRI and actually take a look at the structures of the brain, in addition to EEG studies and qualitative, quantitative assessments.
So it's also supposed to be used to, like psychedelics, to cure depression, right? And other sort of people with OCD. Is that what it's also intended, without actually having to take those drugs or mushrooms? Or
yeah, you have to be careful with using words like cure, but
not cure, but yeah.
It's so even with transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is one of the gold standards of an alternative for SSRI therapy, which is FDA approved, when primary therapies failed, the curative rate is about a third. So I wouldn't suspect this device would have a high curative rate, but it could mirror what we've seen with ecstasy and the MDMA trials that were actually quite breakthrough and transformative.
And peyote, right? The form of peyote, MDMA.
Well,
ecstasy.
MDMA is the first one to go through an actual placebo-controlled double-blind clinical trial, and I don't believe peyote has gone through the same level of rigor. However, there's a common belief that it does, and psilocybin has as well gone through pretty significant trials at Johns Hopkins under Roland Griffiths. If you're planning on attending MAPS, which is the big psychedelic conference for research in psychedelics, I will be there. It's towards the end of June here in Denver, Colorado, and actually Roxiva has a booth. So we're going to definitely play around with their latest and greatest technology, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so first question.